Hi, this is Jason Tako. One question I was asked recently from one of the other videos I posted is what exactly is my palette, and do I use a different palette for wildlife versus landscape? Answer is no. I don't use a different palette. I use the same palette. Sometimes I might add another color or two, but that's pretty rare. The most important thing to ask yourself is not so much what the subject matter is, but what colors are in the subject. That's going to have a lot more determination on what you use for colors than whether it's a deer or a tree or something like that. But really briefly, I'm just going to go over my palette. I use titanium white, cadmium lemon, cadmium yellow light. This is cadmium orange. I recently just started using this. Yellow ochre. I use that one a lot. It's a great modifier, quickly neutralizing colors. Next is transparent red oxide or transparent oxide red. That one is a lot like burnt sienna, but it's a little more transparent, a little more orange than a true burnt sienna. This is cadmium red medium. Alizarin permanent, made by Gamblin. I love this color. Gamblin's done a wonderful job with that. Next is ultramarine blue. Cobalt blue, which is great for skies, especially western skies. And this one right here is cerulean blue hue. Then I have viridium, and then chromium green oxide. It's a very strong color. You have to really neutralize it when you're using it for greens. And a couple other colors I'll sometimes throw in. I'm probably going to butcher the pronunciation of this, but it's terra verte. Anyone can correct me if I'm wrong on that. And the Nexus Chromatic Black, made by Gamblin. It's not a true black. It's two opposites on the color wheel. Works very nice for modifying colors, neutralizing them. And sometimes I'll even use it almost straight up if I do need a black, but it's not quite as dull as other blacks out there. The main thing I wanted to point out, though, is the way I have my colors arranged on the palette. A lot of students that I have, especially when they're starting out, or even more experienced ones, they'll put their colors anywhere in the palette. They just kind of squeeze them out haphazardly. That's a big mistake, because when you mix colors, you want to be thinking about three basic things. What is the basic color family that you're trying to mix? Are you trying to get a yellow, an orange, a neutralized orange? And the next color, or the next thing to consider, is the value. Do you want a light value orange, a dark orange, so on and so forth? And then the third one is the chroma or the intensity of the color. Do you want it to be a very intense color or a very neutralized color? For instance, and this is probably me being a bad boy here on my arrangement, but orange, or I should say transparent oxide red, is really just more of a neutralized orange. And it's also a darker orange. If you took blue and you mix that with orange, you're going to get, if you do it correctly, you're going to get a color very close to that. So really this one should probably be next to the orange, but it's not. So anyway, the reason why I have my palette arranged like this is because when I'm trying to mix a certain tone, all right, and I don't think color, I don't think exact color, I'm thinking, what's my approximate color family I'm after? What is the value that I need that color to be? And then what's the temperature? Does it need to be warmer or cooler compared to what's next to it? If I have these colors just all over the place, I'm not sure where to go when I'm mixing or when I'm painting. But when I have them arranged by color temperature here, then I know exactly where I need to go if I need to warm or cool a color. Okay? So for instance, if I am mixing a color and I want to warm it, well, I can just go to orange here, which I know is probably the warmest I'm going to be able to get. To me, orange is the warmest on the color wheel. So if I really want to warm that color up fast, I can go to orange. I can maybe go to red. Red's a little cooler than orange, in my opinion. So I can go to orange to get that. If I want to warm it up just somewhat, but not quite as much as I would get with orange, well, then I can go to red. Let's say I want to warm it up and I want to keep it a more pure color, as in like a sunset or something like that. Well, I'm going to go to the Pier Orange. Let's say I want to warm it up, but I want it to be neutralized and I want the value to be a little darker. Then I'm going to probably go to the transparent oxide red, okay? Or if I don't want it to be darker, I want it to be warmer but not quite as intense as the orange is going to give me, well then I might go to yellow ochre, or maybe to one of the yellows over here. Same thing with cooling. Coolest color is probably going to be ultramarine blue. There's debate on that, but that's my opinion on that. So if I really want to cool it down, I'm going to go to ultramarine, and it's also going to darken it. But if I want to cool it down and I don't want it to darken, as the ultramarine gives me, well then I can go to white. Now white's a little bit kind of out of whack here because it's not really a color, but white has a very cooling effect. So if I want to keep it light or lighten the value and cool it, I'll go to white. But let's say I want to cool the color, I don't want to get quite as dark, well then I can go to cobalt, which you can see is a lighter value, okay? Or I could maybe go to Alizarin, which is going to cool it, but not quite as much as blue will. So having your colors arranged on your palette in a systematic method of color temperature will enable you to paint more instinctively, especially when you're painting plein air and you don't have time to mess around. I hope that helps. I will be posting more videos, and I do give more information in my workshops. If you'd like to see more of my work, go to www.jasontako.com. And until next time, thank you very much and keep painting.